scholars, welcome back to another day of Read Aloud with me, Miss Luna. And today for Read Aloud, we are going to begin reading the book, A Picture Book of Thurgood Marshall. We are going to start with previewing our non-fiction book. So, remember, the first step we need to do is preview the text. That's right. And our second step is we need to ask ourselves, what do I already know? We need to ask ourselves, and then we need to skim and preview the text. We need to skim and preview the text. And then last, we need to organize our thoughts. We need to organize our thoughts. And how are we going to be organizing our thoughts? That's right, we're going to be organizing our thoughts using our KW chart. Using our KW chart. And then what does the K stand for? What does the K stand for? That's right, it stands for what we already know. It stands for, and then what does the W stand for? What does the W stand for? It stands for what we want to know, and then what does the L stand for? What does the L stand for? It stands for what we've learned for. So today we are going to preview our book and read half of the story. Got it? Awesome. So before we start previewing our book, what kind of book is this? We know that it's a nonfiction book. What kind of nonfiction book? That's right, it's a biography. And we know that biographies are nonfiction books about someone's life. All together, get ready, go. Biographies are nonfiction books about someone's life. One more time, get ready, go. Awesome. And then we are going to be figuring out if this is a modern biography, which is a nonfiction book about someone who's alive, or if it's a historical biography, which is a nonfiction book about someone who is dead. Got it? Awesome. So that's what we're going to be figuring out at the end of our story. Awesome. So let us start previewing our book now. All right, so we have our front page right here. Now let us start previewing. So, right now on this page, we see maybe that this is a picture of Thurgood Marshall when he was younger. A picture of him and his family. And right now, this is a picture of a courtroom. I wonder what's happening here. And then we have a picture of Thurgood Marshall and maybe his family, his brother, his dad, mom. See a picture of him reading a paper, having him walk somewhere. And if we notice right here, it says colored balcony. So knowing that only people of color are able to go in here. We see a picture of him. I'm wondering who that is. Now we see a picture of Thurgood Marshall studying. And right now, if you see right here, it says law. So right now, we can kind of know, predict that he's studying law. And right here, we see him in a picture with a bunch of other people, wondering what they are talking about. We see some more people talking. I wonder what they're talking about, scholars. What do you think they're talking about? Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Oh, right now we see a picture. This is probably Thurgood Marshall in front of a bunch of people. Oh, I wonder who he's talking in front of. And right now we see a picture of two little girls. I wonder why this picture is so important. Oh, right now we see a picture of Thurgood Marshall with his own family, his wife. Ooh, and right now we see a picture of Thurgood Marshall, and he is dressed as a judge. And this is a picture of him when he's older. And the final picture of two scholars reading a book. And that is the end of us previewing our text. Okay, scholars, so right now we just previewed our book. So right now, let's take a moment to think about maybe two things that we now know about Thurgood Marshall that we did not know before, just from proving our text, so we can put it underneath what we already know. Taking about a couple more seconds. Awesome. Now that we have what we already know about Thurgood Marshall in our head, right now I want you guys to go ahead, pause this video, and go get a piece of paper and a pencil and make your own KW out chart. Got it? Awesome. So now that you have your paper with your KWL chart, let us start writing down what we already know about Thurgood Marshall. Got it? All right, let's go ahead and start writing down some things. I want you to write down at least 2 to 3 things. Got it? Awesome. All right, scholars, now coming back together. So, right now I wrote down 2 things that you guys might have put down on what you already know about Thurgood Marshall. Remember, it is okay if you do not have the same thing as me. Got it? So, I put down that Thurgood Marshall is a lawyer and that Thurgood Marshall became a judge. Just based off of previewing our book and looking at the pictures, that's what some things that we know before reading our story. Now, I want you guys to go ahead and start thinking in your head. Go ahead, start thinking. What do you want to know about Thurgood Marshall? What do you want to know about him? Thinking of some questions in your head, then getting ready to write them down underneath what we want to know. All right, so now that we have at least 2 to 3 questions in our head, let's go ahead and take this time to write down what we want to know in our KWL chart. Got it? Get ready, go. All right, now coming back together. So, scholars, super proud of you writing down your own questions and for what you want to know about Thurgood Marshall. These are just some of the questions that I think that you guys might ask or that I am also curious about, just like you guys might be, okay? So remember, it's okay we do not have the same questions. Got it? So let's go ahead and take a look. So some things that I put down that we might be interested in is, how did Thurgood become a judge? Did Thurgood work on any important cases? Cases are what lawyers work on and to help defend other people. So I wonder if he worked on anything important. And then I also asked, what was it like when Thurgood went to school as a young boy? To see if it's the same or different as how we go to school now. Got it? Awesome. So now that we just finished previewing our book and filling out what we know and what we want to know, let us start reading the first half of our book. A picture book of Thurgood Marshall. Justice Thurgood Marshall was a brilliant lawyer, a leader of the civil rights movement, and the first African American justice of the United States Supreme Court, the highest court in the country. Thurgood Marshall was born on July 2nd, 1908 in Baltimore, Maryland, to William and Norma Marshall. The Marshalls' first son was named William Aubrey. Their second son was named Thurgood after the boy's grandfather, a freed slave who served in the Union Army during the Civil War. But by the second grade, young Thurgood was tired of writing out such a long name, he shortened it to Thurgood. All right, scholars, go ahead and start thinking in here. Go ahead and start thinking. What did Thurgood Marshall do? What did he do when he was older? Thinking about that answer in your head, also referring back to the page for some text evidence. Taking a couple more seconds to get the answer in your head. Ready to shout out? All right, you guys can go ahead and shout out your answers now. What Thurgood Marshall did was he was a lawyer, he was a civil rights leader, and he was the first African American justice on the Supreme Court. So right now, let's go ahead and put that down on what we've learned. Got it? All right. So we already put down that we know he was a lawyer. So we're going to put down that he was a civil rights leader and that he was the first African American justice on the Supreme Court. Got it? Awesome. Alright, scholars, let's continue reading. Thurgood's father, William, worked as a dining car waiter on the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. Later, he became a waiter at a fancy all-white country club. William Marshall enjoyed reading about trials. When he could, he went to court and sat in the visitors' gallery. Sometimes he brought Thurgood along. William Marshall was the first African American to serve on a Baltimore grand jury. Oh, scholars, go ahead and start thinking in your head. Go ahead and start thinking. How did Thurgood become interested in courts? How did Thurgood become interested in courts? Thinking about that answer in your head, also maybe looking for some text evidence to help support that answer. Taking about 30 more seconds, getting your answer ready to shout out. Alright, and if you have your answer, go ahead and shout it out. Yeah, Thurgood became interested in courts because when he was younger, his dad would sometimes take him to the courtrooms and they would sit in the visitor side and just kind of view everything. So that's how we know he became interested in courts. Awesome work, scholars. Let's continue reading. William Marshall taught his sons to debate and to prove whatever they said. Thurgood said later of his father, "He never told me to become a lawyer, but he turned me into one." William Marshall also taught his sons to be proud of themselves and their race. He told them that if anyone called them a racist name, you not only got my permission to fight him, you got my orders. Thurgood's mother, Norma, was an elementary school teacher. She was a strong-willed woman who believed in hard work, and she knew the value of a good education. When Thurgood entered law school, she sold her wedding and engagement rings to help pay his expenses. Young Thurgood played in the back alleys near his house. According to his relatives, he was a pretty tough guy. At school, he was often in trouble. To punish him, the principal sent Thurgood to the basement with a copy of the United States Constitution. He couldn't return to class until he had memorized some of it. Thurgood Marshall said later that before he graduated, "I made my way through every paragraph." When Thurgood Marshall was young, segregation was common. African Americans were kept apart from whites in many theaters, restaurants, hotels, parks, schools, and other public places. In 1896, the Supreme Court had declared it legal to have separate but equal facilities for blacks and whites. In September 1925, Thurgood entered Lincoln University, then an all-male, all-black college in Pennsylvania. While at college, Thurgood and some African American friends held a silent protest against segregation. They went to a movie theater and sat in the whites-only section. Thurgood wrote later that when the movie ended, the other people didn't even look at them. "I'm not sure I like being invisible, but maybe it's better than being put to shame and not able to respect yourself." At Lincoln, Thurgood met Vivian Bury, a student at the University of Pennsylvania. She inspired him to become a serious student. Thurgood and Vivian planned to marry 5 years after they graduated, then 3, and then 1. But they didn't even wait that long. They married on September 4th, 1929, before Thurgood began his last year of college. Ooh, scholars, go ahead and start thinking in your head. Go ahead and start thinking. What did Thurgood protest while he was in college? What did Thurgood protest while he was in college? Thinking about that answer in your head and also maybe looking for some evidence to help support your answer. Taking about 30 more seconds to get the answer in your head. All right, and if you guys have your answers, you can go ahead and shout it out. Yeah, so when Thurgood was in college, he protested the segregation of movie theaters, and him and a couple of his other friends or people who went to the same school with him all sat in the white-only section. Awesome job, scholars. I think that's also something very important that we've learned so far in our story, so let's go ahead and write that down. So we are going to put down segregation, protested the segregation of a movie theater. Awesome work, scholars. So, right now we're going to pause right there and we're going to finish reading the rest of our book tomorrow. So, before we go, what is a biography? What is a biography? That's right. It's a nonfiction book about someone's life. Ooh, all together, get ready, go. Biographies are nonfiction books about someone's life. And then what are the two types of biographies that we have? What are the two types of biographies that we have? That's right, we have modern biographies and historical biographies. Which biography is about someone who is alive? Which biography is about someone who is alive? That's right, a modern biography. And which biography is about someone who is dead? Which biography is about someone who is dead? That's right, a historical biography. Awesome job, scholars. You guys are rocking it. So, I know I said earlier this week and almost every single day in our lessons that we would have a special surprise every single day. Well, today's special surprise is about some of the memories you guys had this past year in first grade. So, these are just some of the things you guys did in your guys' class and that your teacher sent me pictures of. So go ahead and enjoy these memories. Wow, scholars, you guys had an amazing year in first grade. Even though we didn't end it in person, you guys still had such a great time and you guys all worked super hard. Awesome job. Well, scholars, that's all for today. Come back tomorrow for another special surprise and so we can finish reading our book and because it's our last day of Read Aloud. I know. All right, see you later, scholars.